So, what do you think? They just made it. Do you think that the company is on track to becoming a consistent manufacturer of cars?
Yeah, I think it was, an impressive milestone that they reached it. Frankly, I don't think the 5,000 a week rate will be sustainable right away. But I thought a really interesting tidbit from the press release was that they expect to actually ramp to 6,000 per week in the near future, and as well as reaffirm their guidance for profitability in Q3 and Q4 of this year, which was the most important thing in my opinion.
How do you think analysts and firms will evaluate this? Do you think they're going to expect them to sustain at that 5,000 level? Because coming into this, it sounded like there was going to be a little bit of cushion that they were willing to give.
Yeah, I think people are used to giving Tesla cushion. I mean, at the end of Q1, they said they were building the Model 3 at a rate of 2,000 per week, ramping to 5,000 per week. Yet in this quarter, they only delivered about 18,000 cars, which extrapolates to about 1,500 per week. So that's well below, even the 2,000 number they said they were at the end of Q1. So Tesla's proven time and time again that these burst production rates right at the end of the quarter aren't really sustainable. But that being said, I think, taking a step back, the progress has been incredible. It's just that they're not quite hitting their own guidance.
Well, Galileo, you are more or less an Elon whisperer at this point. So I want you to translate this for me. According to the email that he had sent to his employees over the weekend, there was a line in that email. He said, quote, "I think we just became a real car company." So what was Tesla before this if they hadn't met their production deadlines?
I mean, I always like to say Tesla's in startup mode because their business model isn't at maturity. They have all these cars that they want to roll out and expand their vehicle lineup significantly. So I think he's just saying that they're sort of evolving past that startup mode now that the Model 3 has really hit scale. 10 years ago, Tesla's master plan was to produce this mass market EV. Now it's here, now they've done it. So I think it was a long time in the making. And car companies are really, really difficult. There hasn't been a successful auto startup in the US in like decades. And so to see Tesla be on the cusp of profitability is a huge deal here.
Yeah, and he also, has in the past mentioned that there's only been, two car companies in the history of being publicly traded that has not gone under: Tesla and Ford. All the other ones have in some ways either gone bankrupt or have folded in some way. If you take a look at the market cap of Tesla versus Ford versus GM, Tesla's got about $60 billion in market cap, Ford about 43, GM 55. How do you expect these companies to continue to move forward as Tesla still continues to struggle? I mean, even though they are making far fewer cars per week, per quarter, these companies are still being eclipsed by this scrappy startup.
Yeah, I mean, the value of a company is, an extrapolation of its future cash flows. And I think the market is telling you here that they're very bearish on the future of Ford and GM, who have built their entire business model around the internal combustion engine, which is getting less relevant by the day. Tesla's leadership position in electric vehicles, which are clearly the future, is the reason why people are expecting so much growth from this company. I mean, Tesla was a company that did 100 million in revenue when they IPO'd 8 years ago. This year, they're going to do over 20 billion. That's growing at nearly 100% per year as a manufacturing company. Ford and GM haven't grown at all during that period. So yeah, if you take the unit sales this year, it looks like Tesla's a lot lower than Ford and GM. But if you look into the future and see what's going to happen in 5 years when, let's say, the Tesla pickup comes out, I think it's absolutely screwed. The other thing I'd like to point out is Ford and GM are more banks than car companies. They have massive balance sheets with over $100 billion worth of debt of auto loans that are securitized by cars that run on the internal combustion engine. As the used car prices for these cars that rely on gasoline crumble, I think it's a house of cards, and I think Ford and GM are way more likely to go bankrupt than Tesla, frankly.
Okay, well, in Tesla's position, profitability, of course, if we stay on the cash flow and the profitability part of the conversation here, that's been in question for investors. Did you see anything from this update, aside from that one paragraph where he addressed some of the headwinds that they're going into with China? Did you see anything that gives you hope that they might still hit that target in Q3 and Q4 of this year, where he said that in the shareholders meeting, they expect to reach profitability?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, nothing gave me, I don't have any more hope. I mean, Tesla's missed so many of their targets and goals that I don't believe it until I see it happening. But I think, taking a step back, the Model 3 is really like, this is an iPhone moment for the entire auto industry. And there's no way a car company could grow production as fast as Tesla without burning capital at their size. That's what I think people fail to realize. As an investor in the company, I've expected them to lose money for all these years because I understand they're making the investments necessary to grow. But Elon Musk has sort of backed himself into a corner now, saying the company will be profitable and cash flow positive in Q3 and Q4. And the fact that he's banked on that and said it so many times, I think the company just frankly needs to do it. Not because as a long-term investor, it's going to change anything for me, but just to show that they can come through on their word.
We have just a minute left. I do want to pull up this tweet from the CEO and chairman of Ford in Europe, Stephen Armstrong, after Elon Musk tweeted his amazing announcement saying that they would actually be able to create 7,000 cars in 7 days. This is the tweet: 7,000 cars, 4 hours. Your reaction to this?
This is psychology 101. This is projection. His biggest fear is that Tesla is going to come out with a pickup truck with specs that are going to absolutely destroy Ford's best-selling product, which is the F-150 or the F-Series trucks. In 5 years, I think we're going to be looking at this, and Ford is going to have totally been annihilated by Tesla. The CEO of Ford knows that that's happening, and I just think he's kind of desperately trying to make it look like they're doing better than the company. But I really just think this is a case of him projecting his own insecurities.
If Ford were to have to create a vehicle and manufacture a vehicle as complex and technical as Tesla's vehicle, do you think that they would be able to do it at this scale?
I think there's not a chance. I mean, the Model S has been out for 6 years, and we haven't seen Ford come out with a compelling electric vehicle yet, and I think there's a reason behind that. I don't think they can pull it off.
All right, Galileo, we could talk to you forever about this. Thank you so much, as usual, Galileo Russell, founder, HyperChange TV.